Did anyone write in it? I think, yeah, in the front. No. It says $2. Written in pencil. Oh. Yeah, there's a name in the front on the title page. Michael. Michael B. Whether it be of this world or of that, she said, your love will lead you yonder in the end. The transponder road. The transponder road led him through the brown wind-torn days, crossing the broken land south of Margaritaville Sinus. I'm kidding. Margaritifer. Oh my god, it's actually pretty close. The transponder road led him through the brown wind-torn days, crossing the broken land south of Margaritifer. It literally says Margaritifer. Okay, Margaritifer Sinus. I've had brown wind. Margaritifer Sinus is my stage name. It's my drag name. Margaritifer. Wasting away in Margaritaford Sinus. Listen, you can't spell it wrong on the teleprompter. I'll read it that way. John would have to drive it again some other time to see any of it. For in the storm it was nothing but flying chocolate, pierced by momentary golden shafts of light. Near Bakuzen Crater, he stopped at a new settlement called Turner Wells. Here they had tapped into an aquifer that was under such hydrostatic pressure at its lower end that they were going to generate power by running the artesian flow through a series of turbines. The water released would be poured into molds, frozen, and then hauled by robot to dry settlements all over the southern hemisphere. Mary Dunkel was working there, and she showed John around the wells, the power plant, and the ice reservoirs. The exploratory drilling was actually scary as hell. When the drill hit the liquid part of the aquifer, it was blasted back out of the well, and it was touch and go whether we were going to be able to control the gusher or not. What would have happened if you hadn't? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of water down there. If it broke the rock around the well, it might have gone like the big outflow channels in Chryse. That big? Who knows? It's possible. Wow. That's what I said. Now Anne has started an investigation into methods for determining aquifer pressures by the echoes they give back in seismic tests. But there are people who would like to release an aquifer or two. See? They leave messages on the bulletin board in the net. They leave messages on the bulletin boards in the net. I wouldn't be surprised if Sax was among them. Big floods of water and ice. Lots of sublimation into the air. Why shouldn't he cheer? But floods like those old ones would be as destructive to the landscape as dropping an asteroid on it. Oh, more destructive. Those channels downslope from the Chaosies were incredible outbreaks. The best Terran analogy is the Scablands in eastern Washington. Have you heard about them? About 18,000 years ago, there was a lake covering most of Montana. Lake Missoula, they call it. Composed of ice age meltwater and held in place by an ice dam. At some point, this ice dam broke and the lake emptied catastrophically. About 2 trillion cubic meters of water, draining down the Columbia Plateau and out to the Pacific in a matter of days. Wow. While it lasted, it ran about 100 times the discharge of the Amazon and carved channels in the basalt bedrock that are as much as 200 meters deep. 200 meters? Right. And this was nothing compared to the ones that cut the Chryse channels. The anastomosing up there covers areas. 200 meters of bedrock. Yeah, well, it isn't just normal erosion. In floods that big, the pressures fluctuate so much that you get exsolution of dissolved gases, and when those bubbles collapse, they produce incredible pressures. Hammering like that can break anything. So it would be worse than an asteroid strike. Sure, unless you dropped a really big asteroid. But there are people who think we should be doing that too, right? Are there? You know there are. But the floods are better yet, if you want them to do that kind of thing. If you could direct one of them into Hellas, for instance, you'd have a sea. And you might be able to refill it faster than the surface ice sublimed. Direct a flood like that, John exclaimed. Well, yeah, that would be impossible. But if you found one in the right spot, you wouldn't have to direct it. You could check where Sachs has sent the dowsing team. You could check where Sachs has sent the dowsing team lately and see what it looks like to you. But it would be forbidden by UNOMA for sure. Since when has that mattered to Sachs? John laughed. Oh, it matters now. They've given him too much money for him to ignore them. They've tied him down with money and power. Maybe. Dude, everyone John talks to, he's lib coded, he's lab golden retriever coded. Everyone he talks to just says, yeah, maybe. After he's done talking to them. He's like, and this is what my future would look like. And they're just like, yeah, something like that. Maybe, John. Well, he's the only one who doesn't know. I know. He don't know. He's like, Sachs wouldn't ignore UNOMA again. They've given him way too much money. He has to listen to them at least once or twice, you know? He knows that, right, guys? They're all like, sure, Jan. Sure, John. We'll see. Anything's possible. That night at 3:30 a.m., there was a small explosion in one of the wellheads. And alarm bells ripped them from sleep. And alarm bells ripped them from sleep and sent them stumbling through the tunnels half naked, to be faced with a gusher that was shooting up into the night's flying dust. In a column of white water, torn to shreds in the unsteady glare of hastily directed spotlights. Ecoterrorism? The water was falling out of the dust clouds as chunks of ice, hail the size of bowling balls. Wells downwind were being pummeled by these missiles, and the ice balls were already knee-deep. Given the discussion of the previous night, John found himself quite alarmed by the sight. And he ran around until he found Mary. Through the noise of the eruption and the ever-present storm, Mary shouted in John's ear, "Clear the area! I'm going to set off a charge beside the well and try to snuff it." She ran off in her white nightshirt, and John rounded up the spectators and got them back into the tunnels, and got them back down the tunnels to the station habitat. Mary joined them in the lock, huffing and puffing, and fiddled with her wrist pad. And there was a low boom in the direction of the well. "Come on, let's go see," she said, and they got through the lock and ran back down the tunnels toward the window overlooking the well. There, in a tumble of white ice balls, lay the wreckage of the drill, on its side and still. "Yeah, capped!" Mary cried. They cheered weakly. Some of them went down to the well area to see if there was anything that they could do to secure the situation. "Good work," John said to Mary. "I've read a lot about well capping since the first incident," Mary said, still short of breath. "And we had it all set up to go, but we never actually had the chance to try it, of course. So you never know." John said, "Do your locks have recorders?" "They do." "Great." John went to check them. He plugged Pauline into the station system, asked questions, scanning the answers as they appeared on his pad. No one had used the locks after the time slip that night. No one had used the locks after the time slip that night. He called the weather satellite overhead and clicked into the radar and IR systems that Sachs had given him the codes for, and scanned the area around Bakusin. No sign of any machines nearby, except some of the old windmill heaters. And the transponders showed that no one had been on the roads in the area since his arrival the previous day. John sat heavily before Pauline, feeling sluggish and slow-witted. He couldn't think of any other checks to make. And it seemed from those he had that no one had been out that night to do the damage. The explosion could have been arranged days before, perhaps, although it would be hard to hide the device, the wells being worked on daily. He got up slowly and went to find Mary, and with her help talked to the people who had last worked on that well the day before. No sign of tampering then, all the way until 8 p.m., And after that, everyone in the station had been at the John Boone party. The locks unused. So there really had been no chance. He went back to his bed and thought about it. Oh, by the way, Pauline, please check Sax's records and give me a list of all the dowsing expeditions in the last year. And then he falls asleep, I guess, because there's a break, small break in the paragraph. So we'll find out. I bet Sax has a lot of dowsing missions. Dude, Sax he's scaring me. This man has too much power. He's literally God on Mars. He could send a flood. If you get what I'm saying, man. He's like, oh, the settlements, flood them. He probably won't, but he could. He means well. But he's literally playing God. That's his problem. He plays God. That'll be my way to summarize Sax Russell so far. Just wait till Riddick shows up. Yeah, whims and mood withstanding. He just wants to play in his sandbox. Continuing on his blind road to Hellas, he ran into Nadia! We haven't seen Nadia in years. Nadia, 9 fingers. I hope she's married to Arcady. He ran into Nadia, who was overseeing the construction of a new kind of dome over Rabe Crater. It was the largest dome yet built. Of course, dude. Nadia's out here building awesome domes. The largest dome yet built. Taking advantage. Yeah, if John calls her frumpy, I'll kill him myself. He described Nadia, or was that Michelle? I don't remember who described Nadia, but they were like, she's alright. Like, but we'll see. We'll see. It has been like 20 years, too. Right. Continuing on his blind road to Hellas, he ran into Nadia, who was overseeing the construction of a new kind of dome over Rabe Crater. It was the largest dome yet built, taking advantage of the thickening of the atmosphere and the lightening of construction materials, which created a situation where gravity could be balanced with pressure, making the pressurized dome essentially weightless, effectively weightless. The frame was to be made of reinforced aerogel beams, the latest from the alchemists. Aerogel was so light and strong that Nadia went into little raptures as she described the potential uses for it. Crater domes themselves were a thing of the past, in her opinion. It would be just as easy to erect aerogel pillars around the circumference of a town, bypassing the rock enclosures and putting the whole population inside of what would, in effect, be a big, clear tent. She told John all about it as they walked around Rabe's interior. Now nothing but a big construction site. The whole The whole crater rim was going to be honeycombed with skylighted rooms, and the domed interior would hold a farm that would feed 30,000. Earth-moving robots the size of buildings hummed out of the murk and dust. Hummed out of the murk of the dust. Invisible even 50 meters away. These behemoths were working on their own, or by teleoperation. And the teleoperators probably had too little view of their surroundings to make nearby foot traffic entirely safe. John followed Nadia nervously as she strolled about, remembering how skittish the miners at Bradbury Point had been. And there they had been able to see what they were doing. There they had been able to see what was happening. He had to laugh at Nadia's obliviousness. When the ground trembled underfoot, they just stopped and looked around, ready to leap away from any oncoming building-sized vehicles. It was quite a tour. Nadia railed against the dust, which was wrecking a lot of the machinery. The great storm was now 4 months old, the longest in years, and it still showed no sign of ending. Temperatures had plummeted. People were eating canned and dried food, and an occasional salad or vegetable grown under artificial light. And dust was in everything. Even as they discussed it, John could feel it caking his mouth, and his eyes were dry in their sockets. Headaches had become extremely common, as well as sinus troubles, sore throats, bronchitis, asthma, lung distress generally, plus frequent cases of frostnip. And computers were becoming dangerously unreliable. A lot of hardware breakdown, a lot of AI neurosis or retardation. Middays inside Rabe were like living inside a brick, Nadia said. And sunsets looked like coal mine fires. She hated it. John changed the subject. What do you think of this space elevator? Big. But the effect, Nadia. The effect. Who knows? You can never tell with a thing like that, can you? It'll make a strategic bottleneck, like the one Phyllis used to talk about when we were discussing who would build Phobos Station. She'll have made her own bottleneck. That's a lot of power. That's what Arcady says, but I don't see why it can't be treated as a common resource, like a natural feature. You're an optimist. That's what Arcady says, she shrugged. I'm just trying to be sensible. Me too. I know. Sometimes I think we're the only two. And Arcady? She laughed. But you two are a couple. Yes, yes, just like you and Maya. Touché. Yeah, Nadia's idealistic too, but at least Nadia's with Arcady, and instead John's with Maya. Two idealistic libs surviving on Mars. In a better world, they'd be getting together for dinner parties or guard, John and Arcady grilling in the backyard. Nadia building a fence. Maya gardening or some shit. I don't know. Wearing plaid shorts and pastels as the children play tag. Instead, they've got to build Martian society. Damn. That's what Arcady says. I'm just trying to be sensible. Me too. Blah, blah, blah. But you two are a couple. Yes, like you and Maya. Touché. Nadia smiled briefly. I try to make Arcady think about things. That's the best I can do. We're meeting at Acheron in a month to take the treatment. Maya tells me it's a good thing to do together. I recommend it, John said with a grin. And the treatment? Beats the alternative, right? She chuckled. Then the ground growled through their boots, and they stiffened and jerked their heads around, looking for shadows in the murk. A black bulk, like a moving hill, appeared to their right. They ran to the side, stumbling and hopping over cobbles and debris. Definitely. We got all their types down. They ran to the side, stumbling and hopping over cobbles and debris, John wondering if this was another attack. Nadia rapping out commands over the common band. Cursing, the common band. Okay, I was trying to figure out what the common band that the Arabic Sufis were dancing to. I was thinking like common, like there's probably a drum and maybe a stringed instrument. But no, they mean the radio band. The common band. It's like a silent disco. I get it. Okay. I was like, what's the common band? What's a common band? But it's the general chat. I get it. Nadia rapping. She's rapping though. Nadia rapping out commands over the common band, cursing the teleoperators for not keeping track of them on the infrared. Watch your screens, you lazy bastards. The ground stopped trembling. The black Leviathan no longer moved. They approached it warily. Thank you, Purple Wayne. Oh my god. They approached it warily, as I am approaching this word. Brobdingdanian. Brobdingdanian. Brobdingnagian. A Brobdingnagian. Fuck. A Brobdingnagian dump truck. The adjective Brobdingnagian, enormous in size, immense, gigantic, derives from the noun Brobdingnag, the land of the giants, the second of the exotic lands that Lemuel Gulliver visited as recorded in Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travels. Thank you so much. Watch those screens, you lazy bastards. Yo, yo, yo. Watch those screens. Okay, the Brobdingnagian dump truck on tracks. They approached it warily. Built locally by Utopia Planitia Machines. A robot built by robots. And big as an office block. John stared up at it, feeling the sweat drip down his forehead. They were safe. His pulse slowed. Monsters like these are all over the planet, he said to Nadia wonderingly. Cutting, scraping, digging, filling, building. Pretty soon, some of them will attach themselves to one of the 2-kilometer asteroids and build a power plant that will use the asteroid itself as fuel to drive it into Martian orbit. At which point, other machines will land on it and begin to transform the rock into a cable about 37,000 kilometers long. The size of it, Nadia. The size. It's big, all right. It's unimaginable, really. Something completely beyond human abilities as we were brought up to understand them. Teleoperation on a massive scale. A kind of spiritual Waldo. Anything that can be imagined can be executed. Slowly they walked around the giant black object before them. No more than a kind of dump truck. Nothing compared to what the space elevator would be. And yet, even this truck, he thought, was an amazing thing. Muscle and brain have extended out through an armature of robotics that is so large and powerful that it is difficult to conceptualize it. Maybe impossible. Well, that's probably part of your talent. And Sax's, too. To flex the muscles no one else realizes they have yet. We have yet. I mean, holes drilled right through the lithosphere. The Terminator lit with mirrored sunlight. All these cities filling mesas and stuck in the sides of cliffs. And now, a cable strung way out past Phobos and Deimos, so long that it's both in orbit and touching down at the same time. It's impossible to imagine it. Not impossible, Nadia noted. No. And now, of course, we see the evidence of our power all around us. We almost get run down by it as it goes about its work. And seeing is believing. Even without an imagination, you can see what kind of power we have. Maybe that's why things are getting so strange these days. Everyone talking about ownership or sovereignty, fighting, making claims. People squabbling like those old gods on Olympus. Because nowadays, we're just as powerful as they were. Or more, Nadia said. And we will stop there. Wow. This book is really fun to read. Thank you for listening. I'm glad we could do this together, chat. Put her there. I mean, we're not done yet. All right, I take my handshake back. We'll do a handshake at the end of the book. Thank you. You're welcome. God bless. And I am God.